Hello everyone. So as you can tell, I clearly suck at doing a video a day, because I missed a day, but it's fine, because I'm here now, and I'm going to make a video in the similar style that I did for It, which is like my hopes and like scenes I want to see in the Goldfinch film, and a few predictions. I was going to do a predictions bingo like I did for Stranger Things Season 3 and for It too, but I realized I really didn't have enough predictions to make a whole sheet, considering a lot of them have already been confirmed to occur in the movie according to people who have seen them and have gone on Tumblr to answer everyone's questions. So yeah, I have this list on my phone of a bunch of stuff, 3 different sections of predictions, scenes I want to see, and hopes, overall general hopes for the film. The film comes out technically tomorrow, because tomorrow is Thursday. I don't think it's coming out in my area on Thursday. I wouldn't be able to see it tomorrow anyways, so I'm going Friday afternoon, and I'm very excited. Fuck the reviews. That's what I've learned. I've done some more research on the bad reviews from TIFF, and they're not the kind of people I trust to have the same opinion as me, is basically what I'm gonna say. So, and I've seen some good ones as well, from people who I relate to more in the way they perceived it. So I'm excited. I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot, and I hope that's what happens. Alright. So my predictions list is short, so I am gonna go through it, but most of these are pretty much confirmed at this point. So number 1 is more focus on the adult section than kid with flashbacks. This has basically been confirmed by the fact that as far as we're concerned, the story is intermittent, and it focuses a lot on the young section at the beginning, but then it starts to bounce back and forth between the adult section and the kid section. I think that's interesting. I think that makes sense for a movie. Because the book is set up in a way where it's kind of like, it could be 2 different movies, like in the sense that It was, where it's like the kid section, and there's a time jump, and then there's the adult section. So it's 2 very different stories, I guess, about the same characters. So I think that sort of makes sense that they're deciding to intertwine it. Romanticization of Pippa. I don't know about this one. I've heard that allegedly they cut out the kiss, which, like, thank God, whoever made that decision. But yeah, I don't know, I just get that vibe from the trailer that they're gonna like romanticize their relationship even though there's like 0 substance there and Theo's just an obsessive creep. Okay, 0 obvious implication that Boris and Theo were hooking up. I think this is pretty obvious. Like, there's no way, especially considering that allegedly the director doesn't believe that their relationship was romantic. Apparently, some other people who have worked on the film disagree with that statement, including a lot of the cast members. So I think it's going to be pretty faithful in the tone, but I do not think we're going to get any sort of scene that implies that they were sleeping together as teenagers, because, I don't know, just because. No Kotku, which has been confirmed by some people who have seen the movie. If you haven't read the book, Kotku is Boris's girlfriend, who he gets, like, year and a half into, like, Theo moving to Vegas, and she's a great vessel for jealous Theo to really come out and be protective over his mans. But overall, I'm glad that she's not gonna be in the film, because I don't think there would really be enough time to sort of develop that whole thing that Theo was going through, where he felt like he was losing Boris, even though Boris, like, it's a very complicated situation, and like their relationship in general is very complicated. So as far as we're concerned, she's not in the film, which is good, because we don't have time for that. Boris finds/saves Theo post-suicide attempt. This does happen, because one of the tracks on the soundtrack is called Boris Saves Theo, and there's a little clip in the trailer, and people said that that's what happened, so that's what's gonna happen, and I'm not ready for it. Tons of emphasis on the bombing for no reason. I think there are gonna be lots of flashbacks to, like, Theo in the museum, like, after the bombing, as, like, PTSD flashbacks kind of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying, as for, like, emotional impact, like, we're gonna show the same couple things a few times throughout the film. Also, my last prediction point is some attempts at comedy. I think they're gonna try to make Boris a bit more comedic, because Boris is one of those characters who, no matter what, is going to read like a literary character. He is a literary character, just in the way that he speaks and acts, and I think that that's great. I'm very excited to see our very own Boris Pawlikowski on the screen, because I think it's going to be interesting, but I think they're going to make him a bit more of a comedic relief than he was in the book. The comedy really came from him and Theo's interactions but I think that he's gonna crack some jokes to make the film a bit more lighthearted, because it's a very heavy story. Alright, so my next little bit is scenes that I want to see. So like scenes from the book that are like little scenes that I would like to see in the film that I think would be nice if they put in the film. So, my first one is Larry's breaking point when Theo is on the phone about the money. So this is in the Vegas part. It's like that part where like Larry tries to get Theo to like call the lawyer people about getting like his academic funds to try to pay back Mr. Silver, and then like when Theo's not able to get them, like Larry just completely breaks down, and it's just like, oh, it's such like a good scene, because then that's really like the turning point in that relationship when, spoiler, right before Larry dies, and Theo has to leave, and then later Theo finds out that he actually could have gotten the money, but oh, and it's so horrible, because then he's like, I could have avoided all of this, and I could have been with Boris, and it's rough, but I think that's a good scene, because then I assume that is going to be in it, because that's the scene where Larry hits him, and that looks like it's in the trailer. So I hope that we get that scene the same way that it was in the book, because I think it's good. I got the Christmas dinner, like when Larry and Sandra and Theo and Boris go to the strip, and then like for Christmas dinner, and then like they all go to like a really nice restaurant, and like it's, oh my god, and then Theo's like, and then in his narration he's like, for the first time in a long time, like I feel like I could feel happiness again, and like it's so wholesome, and then everything goes to shit. But you know, I would like to have that one little happy, hopeful scene, please. Okay, Potter, It's Only Me. Which, like, we're getting. Like, we've gotten a breakdown of what the scene is, because I can't control myself, and I've been looking at spoilers nonstop, and, like, I'm not, I'm so not ready for it, because that's, like, my favorite scene. For those of you who have not read the book, I'm gonna explain it, because I said this on Instagram, and some people didn't know what scene I was talking about. So it's the scene in the book where basically Theo has a nightmare, because like he has nightmares a lot or whatever, and like he and Boris sleep in the same bed, like they live at Theo's house. Like Boris, bad family life, he lives with Theo, and so then basically like Boris starts cuddling him, and then Theo like tenses up, and then he's like, Potter, it's only me, because like that's his nickname for him, because he looks like Harry Potter, and then like Theo like, oh, and then they start cuddling, and like it's so precious, and it's basically, like, from the way that it reads, like, it's the moment that Theo realizes that he loves him. Like, it's such a powerful scene, and it's so soft and wholesome, and I'm so excited to see it. Ooh, the scene of Kitsy cheating with Tom Cable, which there's a little clip in one of the trailers, and, like, I don't know, I just feel like it's gonna be a good dramatic moment for the characters. I also really want the conversation that he has with Kitsy when he confronts her, and he was like, it's not my fault that I'm in love with the wrong person, and then Theo's like, I know how that feels, because like he was in love with Boris, and like it's this whole thing, and I'm ready for it. Oh my god, Theo's denial at the apartment right after his mom dies. This is such a well-written scene in the book, and so I feel like this might not happen because it might not translate well, but the whole sequence after Theo goes back home and he's like convinced that his mother is still alive. He's like, nope, she just like got lost somewhere, like she's gonna be home, and he's just kind of pacing around the apartment, he's like cleaning stuff, he's eating dinner, he's doing this, and then all of a sudden like he's getting phone calls from social services like asking where his mom is, and he's just slowly realizing like this has happened, like my mother is dead, and you can just sort of see like the de-escalation of his sanity a bit, and it's such a well-written scene. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the book, go read the fucking book, it's so good. I got the Boris and Pop Chick reunion, which apparently we're not getting, and I'm gutted. Like, it doesn't really have any plot significance, but I really want the scene where after Boris and Theo reunite, like 8 years later, then they go back to Hobie's, and Boris and Popper, their dog, have a reunion, and Popper still remembers him, and it's just the most wholesome thing ever, and I need it. I wrote, the night where Boris gets beat up by his dad plus Pool better be nearly word for word. That's one of my favorite sequences in the book, is that whole thing where like Theo goes over to Boris's house, and then Boris's dad comes home, and then he gets beat up by his dad, and like Theo's like outside like the house, and so like he can hear it all happening, and then Boris comes out and he's like all beaten up, and Theo is like hella concerned, and so then they go back to Theo's house and they get super drunk, and then he like fixes them up and they go swimming, and it's like, it's really cute, and then like cute shit ensues, and I want it to be really good. Oh my god, the scene in the cafe when they're adults, when they mention sleeping together, when they're like in the cafe and Boris is like, you know, you're the only boy I've ever been in bed with, and Theo gets like gay panic. It's great. Oh my god, when they like bail on the engagement party, when like Boris shows up at Kitsy and Theo's engagement party, he's like, bro, we gotta go to Amsterdam, man. And Theo's like, now? And he's like, yep. And then they just fucking leave. Like, Theo leaves his own engagement party for Boris. Stealing the stuff from Sandra after Larry dies, which, okay, it was also, we got like a clip today that apparently was on the AMC website. I posted it on my Instagram, and it's just, oh, I love Finn's accent. Let me just say, I know people are having problems with the accent. They say that both with Aniron and Finn, it's not that convincing. Listen, that accent is really fucking hard to do. And personally, I think his accent is great because Boris's accent is super broken and fucked up. Like, it's a combination of a Russian accent and a Ukrainian accent and an Australian accent. Like, it's not anything specific. So the fact that it sounds like his inflections are all, like, it sounds good. It sounds like I imagined it. So anyways. But then, like, there's the part where Theo, like, takes the earring out of the box, and it's his mother's earring that his, like, father stole from his mother to give to Sandra. And so, I'm excited for that scene. Oh, I cannot wait for the scene where Theo, like, okay, spoilers. I got this spoiled for me, but apparently this was, like, a really fun, shocking moment when people were reading the book and whatnot, so if you don't want this spoiled, skip ahead. The moment where Theo finds out that Boris had the goldfinch, and, like, he goes to the storage unit and he's unwrapping it, and then he pulls out the civics book. Like, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see just the horror in Theo's eyes when he realized that he got played. So I'm excited for the scene where, like, they get in Amsterdam, where they get cornered after they get the goldfinch back, and Theo shoots the guy, and, like, after, like, Boris gets his arm injured, and they're all, like, fixing each other up, and Theo's, like, panicking, and it's just, like, the beginning of his downward spiral. Like, I'm ready to see it. I also want the moment where they're, like, proud parents looking at the goldfinch, and that, like, when they get it back, and they're just, like, looking at it like it's a child. It's great. The taxi driver, which apparently isn't in the movie, and I'm so sad. Like, when Theo gets picked up from his house in Vegas to go back to New York, he has this amazing taxi driver who just really helps him out, like, helping him get Popper onto the bus. Like, he's a great guy, but apparently we're not getting him in the film, so justice for the taxi driver. A scene that I really want, that wasn't a full fleshed out scene in the book, but it was a scene that Boris brought up, was a scene when they were kids, when Theo tried to kill himself by going and laying down in the road, and, like, Boris, like, goes and helps him and convinces them not to do it, and just, like, holds him while he cries. Like, I need it, because we didn't get it in the book. Boris was just like, hey, this happened one time, you probably don't remember. I want to see it. Show it to me. I want it. Okay, so, and my final category is general hopes. So these are just, like, little nods and details that I'm like, I hope that they do this in the film. So my first one is that Theo's internalized homophobia is noticeable, which I have trust that it will. Because especially if they're cutting the kiss with Pippa, I think it's going to be more obvious to the average viewer, the sort of clear, I'm in love with Boris, but I can't admit it to myself because I have problems. Also, apparently at the end of the film, they're like crying together and like holding hands, and I'm like, yes. Oh my god, Boris being bad at English and Theo correcting him. I love that little bantery relationship where Boris is always fucking up words and, like, Theo's, like, helping him out. Love that for them. Potter, I need it as many times as possible. I need as much Potter as possible. He said it in the clip that released today, and I'm living my best life. It's adorable. Badir Aldain, I need it. I don't care how they approach Badir Aldain, but basically that was Boris's Arabic name, and it means the moon, and there's all this symbolism about the moon and the goldfinch, and it's basically how, like, Boris represents, like, the light in Theo's life, and something that he can always return to and always stays the same, and is always, like, this beautiful presence, and, like, I just need it. It's such good symbolism, and I want it. I want an open ending where, as far as we're concerned, Kitsy is out of the picture, and Boris and Theo are happy together. I would love for them to end it in a scene where they're at Boris's flat in Antwerp watching It's a Wonderful Life, because that's how it went in the book. Just saying, like, that wasn't, like, the last scene chronologically in the book, because we know that he did eventually go back to New York, but he was still, like, in contact with Boris. Like, they were still, like, pals. Like, they didn't lose contact again. So I hope that, like, the last scene that we see is of them in Antwerp, because I think that would leave the ending very open, and they're clearly the most important relationship that they're pursuing in this film, with, like, you know what I'm saying. I want Andy's death to be touched on, which apparently it is. So Andy is one of the Barber children who is friends with Theo, who was Theo's school friend, and when Theo comes back as an adult and sees the Barbers again, he finds out that Andy died along with his father, and I just want them to do justice to that, because Andy is a good boy, and justice for Andy. Andy deserves screen time. We love Andy Barber. The doormen! I want the doormen, and apparently the doormen aren't in it, and it's fine, but I love Theo's doormen at his apartment building. They're so sweet and nice, and I just love how they're, like, always looking out for him, and, like, their farewell to him when he left for Vegas was so sweet, and, like, we love the doormen. I want to see them. Larry and Sandra liking Boris. Oh my god, Larry and Sandra love Boris in the book. Like, they get along so well, and, like, I love how Boris was always there to just listen to Larry go off about shit, and, like, Larry always lent Boris nice clothes when they went out to dinners and stuff, and they were just, like, totally content with Theo, like, constantly hanging out with Boris. Like, it's good shit. Like, we love a broken family. Like, they could have got there, you know, if shit wasn't fucked up. But I think that's sweet. Theo's obsession with learning Russian. Oh my god, when he and Boris, like, meet again, he's like, yeah, like, I took conversational Russian in college, and, like, I read all these books, and I read this book that you loved, and I, like, heard it in your voice because I missed you. Like, oh, he's so gay. Less emphasis on Theo's creepy obsession with Pippa. It's gonna take up screen time. We don't care. And honestly, I think that that's gonna be the case. Like, all that content came from Theo's narration and Theo's inner thoughts, and they're not going to be able to express a lot of that stuff in a film, so I think it's going to be pretty chill and in the background, which is nice. Oh my god, sassy, lying businessman Theo. I just can't wait to see little antique dealer Theo just fooling all of these old ladies that this is, like, a super rare piece of furniture, and turns out it's actually a fake that Hobie just made in his basement. Like, I need to see him just being a sassy bitch who's fucking over all of these antique buyers. Like, I'm ready for it. Boro's hetero marriage cover story. As far as we're concerned, this isn't it, and honestly, I'm glad. I would, like I said, like, I want this to be an open-ended thing where it's, like, as far as we're concerned, they could eventually end up together, and I think that by giving Boris, like, a wife, I'll get to that, like we did in the book, is going to mislead some people, because apparently, like, in the book, he's like, oh yeah, I'm married, and, like, shows Theo this picture of, like, this blonde woman and, like, these two blonde kids. That's clearly, like, a stock photo that he found on Google. Like, he's totally making it up, and, like, I just think it's so funny, but I'll be content either way if we get that or not. I want a stronger Borio relationship as adults. Their relationship is really, really strong when they're kids, and I think that Theo's, like, he just has such a shift when he's older that he very easily, like, pushes Boris away and all of his, like, attempts to kind of get back to where they were, and I want him to show, like, more trust in Boris, because he really is, like, one of the only people left in his life who genuinely cares about him, and so I want that strong relationship goals. And last but not least, Boris singing. I need Boris to sing to Theo in Polish at the playground in the fucking desert when they're walking home in his room. I don't give a shit. I need a scene where he's singing in Russian or Polish or whatever. I need a scene where Boris is singing to Theo, because that's the content we deserve. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully I'll be able to get this up tonight and kind of get back on the schedule. The Goldfinch comes out very soon, and I'm so excited for it. I hope you're also excited for it. Comment down below anything you want to comment. I answer all my comments. Same thing on Instagram. I answer all my DMs and comments on there. Follow me. And yeah, subscribe. We're 1.3K strong. Y'all are doing awesome. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!